You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by Nax.
Welcome to Convenience Matters. My name is Jeff Leonard. I'm with Nax, and what we do on Convenience Matters is we talk about things that relate to convenience stores, because if they relate to convenience stores, they relate to about half of the U.S. population every single day.
And I'm Carolyn Schneer, also with Nax, and we are here fueling your car, your day, and your mind.
And so today, Carolyn, we have the opportunity to talk about what convenience stores do with communities and how they give back and how they can really do something that surprises and delights their communities. So today, our guest is Bob Bolduc, and he is with the Pride Stores, and he has a story that's very interesting because we had a second biggest lottery of all time, and his stores became a part of the news for all the right reasons. So welcome, Bob.
Hello.
So what we had in a couple months ago, this summer, we had the second largest lottery of all time. It was $750 million. And excitement built week after week.
And Jeff, neither you or I won it.
Yes, and that's why we're still...
That's why we're still here today.
Yes. And Bob's... your store sold the winning ticket. Do you want to take us through that experience, what happened that morning, and what happened as a result of that day?
Sure, okay. Well, got to work. There were notes on my desk to call the Boston Globe, ABC, NBC, the Associated Press, and so, we all looked at one another and said, what is going on? Called one, and they told us we had won the winning ticket.
And this was, of course, after there was confusion. It was almost like the Academy Awards all over again. There was the wrong winning store was announced. It was a store from Chicopee.
Yeah.
And so you didn't think that you had the winning ticket. And then these calls came in. And then what'd you do as a result of all this?
Well, they all wanted... By the time they contacted us, they had sorted out the mass lottery had sorted out their mistake and confirmed that we had, in fact, sold the winning ticket. And so all the press wanted to come out and do a story. So we said, okay, well, come on out. And we set up our first press conference at 10 o'clock because some of them were pretty anxious. And lo and behold, we had limos and all kinds of equipment come from all over the place with anchors and cameras and lights and everything, and we did our press release. And at that point, we did not know who had won the money. All we knew was that we had sold the ticket.
And so you had a press conference, and you made an announcement at that. Now, typically, stores, it varies by state what your winnings are, because there is a prize, if you want to call it that the store gets. Sometimes it's a percentage, sometimes it's a set amount. You heard what your amount was, and how did you decide to communicate what you were going to do with that? Yeah,
okay. Well, they asked us first, we thought about it. We knew how much it would be, which was $50,000. And that's apparently a cap that the state of Massachusetts puts on commissions, bonuses to lottery retailers. So we said, for that amount, we're already, we're a large chain, so it would have, if we had divided it up between all the employees, it wouldn't have come to too much. And we are already a very committed company to helping others. And so we said, look, let's just give it away. And so we decided to give it away to charity. And because we are already connected with lots of charities, it was easy because we knew we knew the ropes. And I can tell you more about those charities if you want.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more. I think I saw on your site you did or you had everybody send applications in and for the grants, and it was specifically in the area where the store was in Western Massachusetts.
Yeah, well, we made a commitment. My wife and I made a commitment many years ago to support local charities as opposed to national. And the reason we do that, and in fact encourage others to do that, is that you know where your money goes, and you can feel comfortable that every penny of it is being well spent, as opposed to When some of it, we all know, goes into admin fees and staff and all the advertising and all the mailing they do. And sometimes it doesn't fall into the right hands. So that's why we always do it locally. We know, you can check out the group. You can go visit what they offer, the services that they give to their clients. You may know people on the boards. You may have been on the boards yourself. And that's it. So that's the first thing that we decided a long time ago, that it would be local. The second is, there's lots of needs out there, and you have to pick some. But we chose many years ago to give it to kids who are in need. And by that I mean we support foster kids groups, we support education for these kids, and we support just basic needs for all the very needy in our community. And by that, we're talking groups that help out homeless kids who are in the public school system. Our city, Springfield, which is a small city, has 200 children in the public school system that are homeless. They go back to shelters every night. They may or may not get a good meal on Saturday and Sunday. The public assistance that we all know the government does is totally inadequate when it comes to taking care of kids at this level. So that narrows our field a lot, and it narrows it to groups that we already know. So that all was pretty easy to do, and we're happy to do it. And our company, my wife and I and our company, have supported these groups with lots more than the $50,000 every year anyway. So this is really just a little bonus to what they already get.
So, Bob, how do you work? You have several stores throughout Connecticut and Massachusetts. When you are finding these kinds of charities that you want to work with, whether it's not a huge geographic area, but they're different each neighborhood.
Yeah.
How do you identify them? Do you work with your employees? Do you go out there yourself and find these groups?
Well, it started years ago that since we're local, and just like a lot of our convenience store colleagues, we've all been asked and have been on at various agencies over our careers. And so you get to know them. I mean, some of them are as simple as the local Y. Some are, as I say, we do a foster kids group, which was a spin-off of a different board that we were on once. We're familiar with all the local schools. Our company is a big supporter of the elementary schools in the city of Springfield. And our employees are involved with that. They go in, they read to kids. They go in and bring them gifts. So, when you do that, you just start to get involved. And before you know it, people are calling you and saying, gee, I see what you're doing here, and here's our group, and would you check it out? And if so, would you? And some are religious-based, some are not. Most are not. But it just kind of grows. Once you get involved with it, it just all falls into place. And most of all, you see the tremendous need out there. And it is tremendous.
Yeah, and
I can give you some examples if you want.
I think it's wonderful what you do. You really exemplify something that our chairman, Rahim Boudwani, has said. He said it at the 2016 NAC show. He said, C-store doesn't stand for convenience store, it stands for community store. And you really exemplify that in what you do. And you had mentioned to us off air that you contribute roughly $250,000 a year to local charities. And so the $50,000, to a certain extent, was a drop in the bucket, but it was the one that got national attention.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's interesting the way that happens.
But so it's just doing right.
The good thing about it is that if as a result of this other people get on board, then this could multiply. And certainly the need is out there.
And not only are you serving a need in the community, but I would imagine that employees also say that, hey, this is a little bit more than a job. This really means something, and all the more reason to work for this company. And I would imagine that the local community also supports you. And I would imagine that sales look pretty good the weeks after the winning lottery.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Our employees are behind it 100%. And in fact, when the press asked me, well, how are the employees going to feel about you're not giving the money to them, sharing the money? And my answer was simple. I said, they're happy that we're giving it away, because we pay them well, we give them full benefits, and they know that they're better off than these groups that we give it to. And so they're able to, even though they might not be able to donate themselves, they get a satisfaction out of the fact that they, through us, they kind of do. And so they support it when we have drives, which we have several times a year for different groups, asking people to drop some money in the bucket or to buy a particular ticket. We do a lot of that stuff for $1. And, we raise a lot of money that way, too. And our employees get behind it because they know it's a good cause, or a good cause is. And our customers are happy to do it also. So, yeah, it all ties together.
You used a great word earlier. You said it's all about making a commitment to your community, and that's something at NACS we've been using that word a lot lately with commitments with our partnership for Healthy America. We've been committing with our partners with the Red Cross, and those are national charities. But we do continue to urge our retailers and everybody to get in there local. Now, how do you tell your story? I know you obviously word of mouth probably spreads a lot, and I think that's very important, especially in some of the smaller towns that you're in up there. My family's from up in Massachusetts. I can't even find my way around without a map because it's so twisty and turny on some of those roads. Do you get out in the community to the events, like, I don't know, local 5K races or school events? Like, how else do you get out there and get your story known?
We do all the above. We do sponsor a lot of those programs. You can't give to all of them, so sometimes we have to. If it's for, let's say, a middle income area, and the kids want to go to I got one the other day, so the kids could go to a cheerleading camp. You compare that to some of the others, where I tell people the story about. Last year, we were involved in giving out some toothbrushes to an elementary school that we support. And I first said, why give away toothbrushes? Until one little girl said to us, 4th grade, she said, wow, she said, this is the first time I have my toothbrush. And you say to yourself, am I going to give away toothbrushes, or am I going to support these kids to go to a cheerleaders camp? Now, I'm nothing against cheerleaders, but all of a sudden you see the tremendous gap.
Yeah.
And that, that story speaks for itself. So how do we decide? That's how we decide. But we try the cheerleaders camps too. But if we have a choice between the two, I can tell you which way we're going.
Yeah, and that's really a powerful story when you just think
true.
about how much some people need things, and that convenience stores are there for them, and we have people throughout the industry that's just looking out for their community, and it's a partnership. We are there to support our communities, and that totally exemplifies it.
Yeah, it does. And so I would encourage your listeners to get involved. Once you get involved at these levels, you trust me, they'll find you. You don't have to look too far. You just got to not delete the emails when they come in, and not toss the letters when they come in, and you got to say, what can I do to help here? And all of a sudden, you do get involved. It's pretty easy.
So how intimidating was it to have all of these TV trucks show up and all these people with, I presume, pretty perfect hair and perfect makeup and all that stuff.
That's very true.
What was that whole experience like?
Well, it was like you see on television when somebody has a press conference and there's a whole bunch of mics in front of that person. You say, hey, that person is just being themselves. And they asked me that too. I said, how you doing? And I said, well, when you're in business for yourself, and every one of your listeners in our industry are going to understand this, you're faced with a million issues all the time, and you learn to deal with them under pressure. And the only difference was this was a happy one. But usually we're all dealing with something that's over which we have no control and brought onto us, and we have to deal with a mess. But it's the same pressure. It's just different.
So did they at least
buy
product? As I said to them,
it's the same problem, except the number of zeros on the check is a lot bigger.
I hope at least the anchors and the cameramen and all that at least bought some product that day.
Yeah. I don't know. They were pretty interested in getting those stories back. I mean, we had 30 of them at one point.
Did they buy lottery tickets?
Some of them kidded about that they were going to buy one before they left. It was funny. And I saw some of them doing it.
Yeah, so, and also we know that Massachusetts is the number one lottery state, and we know that there's a halo effect when somebody sells a lottery ticket, that becomes the lucky store. Now, your business went beyond the lucky store. It went to the important store for the community. And how has that changed your business in terms of how, I assume customers long knew what the Pride stands for in the community, the Pride stores. And this just amplified things to a greater level when they see national stories and they say, hey, that's my store. That's who I support.
Yeah, I think they did. And it certainly cemented, if people didn't know of our philanthropic goals here, they know it now.
And they're certainly going to know now with thousands of listeners hearing this.
Yeah. Well, I would to do it. Anybody and everybody to do it, because, as I say to people, you really sleep good at night.
And that's important in the industry when we talk about what keeps you up at night, and there's everything related to competition. It is nice to be able to talk about doing good and resting a little easier. So one final question that we have is, without waiting to sell a $750 million winning lottery ticket, what can somebody do to maybe take some baby steps and start engaging with the community, whether they're a new store or whether they're new to community engagement? What do you recommend in terms of getting started?
Well, you can go to you can go to your local YMCA or YWCA, or go to some of your depressed areas and look up some local agencies there, and they will be there, or community groups and everything, and say, I'd like to help. Any of that stuff. But as I say, don't delete the emails when they come in. Don't toss the letters for requests when they come in. They're there. They're asking now. They're clamoring for help now. And, you'll quickly learn the difference between the good ones and the bad ones, and the difference between the real needs and the ones that are superfluous.
And I've heard from some of our retailers just asking your customers as they come in. You can put a wall, fill in on a wall, put in Post-it notes, a suggestion box, or even just ask your employees. They know, they probably they might have kids that go to the local school, or just asking them what matters to them. That's a great place to start.
It's easy.
Well, thank you, Bob. Your name of your store couldn't be better in terms of what we're talking about with our industry. You really do instill pride in our industry and how we all belong, and we're all part of the community. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for what you do every day.
And thank you for listening to Convenience Matters.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You've been listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. For more information, go to nacsonline.com.